Alrighty. All right. Well, let's see if that worked. I wasn't gonna redo the countdown for you all. Let's see if we'll give it a minute. We'll give it a minute. We'll see if everything works out okay. I did an ops check on my end and I didn't see anything abnormal on my end. Man, that's like that's only like in the 4 years that we've been streaming, that type of thing has actually only happened, I think, once or twice other times, right? I think the only other couple times that has happened, right, was a couple, you may remember this, when we had Richard from INE on the stream one time, and the internet absolutely took a huge giant dump right in the middle of the stream, and so that was rather disconcerting. Okay, yeah, a lot of people are reporting things are back. Oh, LinkedIn looks like it's back. Okay, weirdness, definitely some weirdness going on. I think we might be back, though. That is a rare occurrence. Hey, look, it is the IT gods. Just simply turn it off and turn it back on. It's always dangerous to do that in the middle of the stream because you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, we can blame, let's blame, like, drop all the blames into who you think was at fault on that in chat. That's the best way to do it. All right. Cool. All right, cool. Looks like we're back. All right, sweet. After a small foray tempting the internet gods with a Friday morning stream, you cannot stop cyber insecurity. You cannot stop cyber insecurity. Oh man. Welcome. Good morning. We'll start over slightly. Welcome to Friday morning's AMA stream. My name is Neil Bridges. Thank you for tuning in for some technical difficulty. Not entirely sure what happened there, but we are back. And in action, you can't stop us from being awesome, and I really do appreciate your patience as we go through that just a little bit. As I mentioned before, we do have moderators in chat. They are here to keep chat free of racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist behavior. Zero tolerance for that. If you are caught kind of, exhibiting any of those behaviors, a mod will probably take some actions against you, mostly in the name of banning you from the stream. That doesn't happen too often, so I don't really worry about it, but we just kind of preface it to say, hey, we try to keep everything above board here, try to be inclusive and help everybody participate in the conversation. With that in mind, it's probably a good opportunity to remind you to hit that exclamation point Discord button, hop into the Discord if you haven't already. That way you can continue the conversation and move it on. Yes, I ultimately did find the turn it off and turn it back on again button. Oh man, I love you guys. You guys are, this is why I stream. I love seeing everybody in the morning. Speaking of, you can see tons of people for dropping comments in chat. This is our Friday morning AMA stream. And so we do set aside this time specifically in the morning across all the platforms. We are streaming live across LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, X. We do encourage people frequently to drop questions in chat. If you drop questions in chat, we have mods who will grab those questions just like they're doing now and pushing them up on screen whenever they get asked. Whoa, Callie throwing shots. So is this what it's like having a non-technical CISO? Callie, you were up here. Now you're down here. Up here, down here. Up here, down here. No. I don't take that kind of crap from the only intern that failed an internship. There you go. We'll take that. Take that. Speaking of Callie, he did inspire me to post on Instagram. There is a surprise post on Instagram. Hit that exclamation point socials in chat. Head on over to Instagram and check out the surprise Instagram. There's a before, after will happen later today. But I am excited for what I did post on Instagram. Oh, that's why I'm not getting my YouTube questions. Haha. I was wondering why I wasn't getting my YouTube questions. Did miss one thing as I restarted the stream. There we go. There we go. Now I can see the YouTube questions. There was a question from Hector XO over on YouTube that said, any tips on cybersecurity projects for upcoming security graduates and tips on growing network? Yes. Go to my YouTube channel and find my 1000 Connect video over on YouTube. That is hands down, without a doubt, the roadmap, if you will, for growing your network, and everybody should do it. We're not gonna start soapboxes. We're not gonna start soapboxes yet this morning. We're not gonna start soapboxes yet this morning. We might start a soapbox yet this morning. We'll see. I taught the amount of people that I talk to who are struggling to find jobs in this current economy is too freaking high. But the people who have been successful have done it through networking. Hands down, unequivocally, without a doubt, the people who have been, and I'll give you an example of this. I was helping a friend find a sales engineering role. He had been struggling, he had several failed interviews, struggling to find a role. When he reached out to me and he said, hey, Neil, I'm getting desperate. Do you have anybody who might be looking? So I yet again reached out to my network to try to help him find something. And if you guys remember Jeff from Old Guy Wednesday, Jeff happened to help me get him in touch with a lead of a sales engineering team. And he's on his third interview, and he's going to help them rebuild the West Coast sales engineering team, right? It's that type of mentality that you've got to have. Blind applications aren't working. So thank you very much for asking the networking job over there on YouTube from Hector. Please, 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 please do yourself a favor and head over to YouTube and watch that networking video. You can thank me later. In terms of projects, Hector, in terms of cybersecurity projects that you can do, I absolutely encourage you to just build systems. Build a honeypot system. Do things like that. Like, those types of things will help you more than you can realize. Oh, man, the question queue is popping up fast. I love it. Keep the questions coming. The mods are going to grab it and start dropping there. I want to head over to LinkedIn really quick. I see Carolina Espinoza over in LinkedIn. Carolina, it's good to see you again. It's been too long since we saw each other in Wisconsin last time. We used to hang out there with the security team in the local Wisconsin area. If you're interested, I don't know if you're still doing the security org that's over there in Wisconsin. Drop some information on there, but she is awesome. Hope you're doing well, and it's good to see you in chat. The push that one from the, there we go. The GitLab server, yeah, that's a good one. I think that's a great project to have up, but let's talk a little bit about projects for a second, right? Projects is a weird term. I would encourage you that as you're considering the projects that you're wanting to work on, do them in a way that solves a problem. I'll say that again. Find yourself a project that helps you solve a problem. Now, what do I mean by that, right? Make yourself a problem. Don't make a problem, but find a problem that you're really trying to solve for. Document the process in which you've gone to solve that process. This makes for a nice blog or something like that. And then solve the problem and then make a blog on that. Those types of things help you think critically, but also push you to solve real problems. Sometimes we get into this habit in cybersecurity where we just do cool stuff, which isn't bad. Oh, I'm gonna hit that one in a second. Feel free, Chad, to respond to that one, but I'm gonna hit that one in a second. Some of you get caught up in doing cool stuff. What I would encourage you to do the cool stuff, but do it in a way that solves a real problem. And I think that that's kind of key to how you go about project work. I love this, and thank you very, very much, Set, for having the bravery and the courage to drop something as controversial as that into chat. It's a passive-aggressive way for us to talk about how absolutely, utterly wrong this statement is. I have been in cybersecurity my entire life, my entire adult life, whether it was in the military, whether it was startups before, whether it was afterwards. This sentiment is beyond incorrect. Cybersecurity absolutely can be and has several entry points to it, without a doubt. I find this statement absolutely categorically incorrect. You can go in as a SOC analyst. You do not need to go into IT and upskill from there. You can go into GRC. You do not need to go into IT and upskill from there, right? You can go into architecture in junior positions and upskill from there. You do not have to be 5 years in IT and upskill to get into cyber. Fight me on it. Fight me on it. One of the things that I think people have a tendency to think about is they only think about how complicated cybersecurity could be. I want everybody to start thinking about things in terms of maturity models. And I'm having this conversation more and more recently where, you know, there is such thing as, if we use like a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the least mature and 5 being the most mature, right? And so I think that you can absolutely be a SOC analyst, right? Absolutely be a SOC analyst and know nothing. Somebody has got to come in and look at the alerts. Somebody has got to come in and triage them. Somebody has got to come in and decide what's real and what's not and move it on. Listen, I want chat to see this. Like, I love this. I'm not going to ban this guy, right? Even though this is very much crossing the line of toxicity. Everybody is entitled to opinion, and we welcome all opinions here. We welcome all opinions here. You are absolutely entitled to think that I am full of it. There's the door. Hit that little close button on that browser. Make your way somewhere else. If you think you can do better, if you think you've got better experience, please go out there and create content. I welcome it. Everybody should voice their opinions. Everybody should feel free to do so. I disagree with you strongly. I have data to back it up. I have people in this chat. Anybody across any of these platforms can choose to agree with you or agree with me. And that's the beauty of this. So if you disagree, listen, my feelings aren't going to be hurt. See your way out. I was willing to entertain the question when it first came through because it's a good question to talk about. It's a good topic to talk about. But at this point in time, you've kind of crossed the line of disrespect. I ask you, be respectful in chat. Don't bring toxicity into this, or you will get a ban. There's that. Okay? Behave or GTFO. So let's go back to your original question. Cybersecurity absolutely is an entry-level field. I do fundamentally believe that it is people who do not believe that do sometimes try to gatekeep. Right? That's right. There's tons of people. There's tons of experience. Everybody feel free to drop your stuff into chat. If you got experience of, or know people who have been entry level and have gotten into cybersecurity and have done very, very well for themselves. I think that gatekeeping is one of the biggest problems that we have, that we fundamentally have to growing the field of cyber. And listen, I get it. Dude, we all want to be special in our jobs, without a doubt. I get that. We all want to do awesome stuff. We all want to make a difference in this world. But pushing down other people and saying you're not good enough because you don't have this skill set, or you don't have this skill set, or you don't have this CVE, or you don't have that CVE, I think that's the stuff that keeps people away from our career field, keeps smart people away from our career field, and doesn't do a good job of growing it. It doesn't bring innovation into our career field. And so I do fundamentally disagree with this, because I think that it is welcome for all people. Thank you very much, mods. Get some claps in for the mods. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That was the last straw. I told you I don't like we are all about inclusivity here. We want to hear everybody's opinion. We just ask for you to be very simple and be respectful. That's it. Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate you. All right. I'll move on from that question then. Winter Jolt. Perfect. I think there were some more in Twitch. I just happened to look over at YouTube for a second to see this one from Winter Jolt, right? I'm a product of that. Got into cyber with no certs, into an entry-level pen testing position, and now I'm going to a bigger company with my Sec Plus and currently working on my CPTS and OSCP with a major pay bump. Like, it happens. Like, it's not rocket science, guys. And listen, no, this is a very good point, right? This is a very, very good point of this, right? What you just witnessed, I think, is absolutely unequivocal, both sides of that gatekeeping conversation right there, right? There are people who, like, and the human mind is weird. The human mind is no doubt incredibly weird. I don't understand why people feel the need to push other people down, especially when, like, God, what we do is awesome. Why wouldn't I want to share that with other people, right? Why wouldn't I want to share that awesomeness with other people? I think is a weird mentality not to have it. Exit insecurity. That's right. Cyber insecurity. We're not going to dwell on this. Like, I don't like, this is Friday. This is a hype day. There's part of me that wants to, like, really rage about this, but I know that that's what those people want. And quite honestly, I don't think so. And if I were to assume that this, but how are these people getting entry-level roles? There isn't a roadmap. And I think this is what you all have to try to wrap your head around sometimes, is there is no magic formula. There is no, like Callie said it best, the certification game is a racket anyway. Everybody and their brother can turn on YouTube. Like the guy said, like, I'm just doing this for views. You guys tune in to watch me for views. Whoop-de-doo, right? I don't believe that for a second, right? But I do think that it makes it really, really hard to sometimes decide how to get into this field when everybody and their brother is trying to make believe how easy it is. And it's hard to separate the noise sometimes in this industry. And I wish you and everybody else out there, I wish I could hand you a piece of paper and say, here's your roadmap. Just follow this roadmap and it'll be super easy to do. But that's not how this job or any other job, that's not how life works. And I hate to do a life lesson, right? But life is, God, okay, so find the soapbox. It is soapbox time. I tried really, really hard to temper the soapboxes, but let's get the soapbox out and let's stand on the soapbox for a second. There is definitely a mentality that I see out there where people want to be handed the answer. Right? They want to be handed the answer. What steps do I have to take? What is steps 1 through X? What are the answers to the test? How do I get people to recognize me? What's the magic formula? How do I go viral? Right? They want the answers handed to them. And I get it. Like, I was in your position. Like, you know, I could talk about my success in a way that seems like it was just wildly fortunate for me to be where it was. And make no mistake about it, I do think that luck meets opportunity, and I got lucky that my opportunity and that luck matched. But at the same time, I want you to understand something. Like, there were hardships where I was like, what in the world am I going to do? Right? What in the world am I going to do? I lost my job. So I'll tell some very personal stories, right? In 2001, right before September 11th, the January of 2001, I was working for a startup. And they pulled me and 7 of my colleagues out of a company of 150 into a conference room and said, at 1 o'clock today, we're going to lay off everybody except for the 8 people in this room. And I had no idea what to do. I don't say this from, you know, back in my day, uphill and snow both ways, but I want you to understand something. I couldn't go to Indeed or LinkedIn or things like that and look for a job. You know where I went to go look for a job? I went to the News and Observer in Raleigh, a newspaper, to try to find a job in the newspaper, right? I think Monster.com was starting to get popular at the time, right? I had no degree. I barely graduated high school. I didn't know what to do. And I did. I looked around. Callie said it best. I looked around for a roadmap or a checklist or a list of things to do. And in my youthful ignorance, I blamed everybody else. I blamed 9/11. I blamed a failing tech boom. I blamed the CEO of the company that laid us off. I blamed my dad for not, you know, paying for me to go to college, right? I blamed all those people. I blamed everybody else instead of hitting the grind. Right? I say all that to say, you are the only one that can control your destiny. I can't, me or anybody else, anybody who says they give you the unequivocal, hands down perfect roadmap to get into cybersecurity and get your first cybersecurity job is fundamentally lying to you. There is no one, and there is no guarantee. And that'd be the same as if it was a doctor, a lawyer, right? An accountant. There is no guarantee in this world. I have cancer. Do you think that I wouldn't have gone back and asked myself for a guarantee that I was going to be able to live a full life without cancer? All of you know what you have to do. You have to be smart. And I don't mean smart like you got to be a genius, but you got to go and educate yourself. Whether that's YouTube videos, whether that's reading stuff online, whether that's networking with your peers, going to conferences, you have to get smart in your craft. And then you got to grind, right? And you got to network with people, and you got to put yourself out there. You got to put content out there. You got to do this stuff. Everybody can do it. Everybody can do it. But I think that's the difference, is that you have to believe that you can do it, and put in the work to make it happen. And I think so many of you sometimes still have this mentality that you want a roadmap, you want somebody to tell you what to do, you want somebody to tell you how to do it. And God, I wish that were the case. Like, I'm happy to tell you all the different ways that I've seen people succeed. This entire community, welcome to Cyber Insecurity. Everybody in this community is more than happy to sit down with you and tell you how it's worked for them. The non-gatekeepers on LinkedIn will be more than happy to tell you how it's worked for them, but you have to take them as data points. You have to take them as data points, and you have to adapt yourself or adapt those data points to what works for you. What works in your scenario? What works for your socioeconomic situation? What works for the part of the world that you're in? I tell people all the time, I think degrees are a lie. I think degrees are pieces of shit. That works great in the US, but I know for a fact that in the Asias and the Indias and in parts of Europe, that's not exactly the case. Right? So you have to adapt it. And that's what I want you to keep a mind on. Thanks for the person who pointed out that we were in just catting instead of just chatting. I appreciate that. I don't mean like I'm happy to share all the sizes of everything that I know from all of my experience of all of the people that I talk to day in and day out for the last 20 plus years in this industry. People make it work with a wide range of scenarios. Your scenario is not unique. Let's say that out loud together. Your scenario is not unique. It might be unique to you, but somebody has figured out something with the pieces that you have. And you just have to figure out how those puzzle pieces work for you. And you can do it. You absolutely can do it. I believe everybody who hears my voice every single time I stream can do it. And so with that, we'll put the soapbox back away for now. If I missed any questions as I was on that tirade, here's a pass to drop them again, just in case one of the mods didn't get them. But, I do believe it does not matter what your education level, does not matter the degree you have, it does not matter the certification you have, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is you. And with that, Mr. Maz dropping into chat. I love to see it. This is a great comment from KP over on YouTube. I got a cyber mentor and he's been awesome and helped me get numerous interviews. No job yet, but I've been in final round numerous times, so I know the time is coming. Absolutely. Coaching is key. Listen, hit ! coaching. If you're in Twitch, if you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, you can head over to my LinkedIn profile. I make coaching time available. I have specific blocks of time set up for people to get coaching from me. I have helped several people get jobs, right? It is what I do. So please, by all means, everybody needs to have a coach. I don't care where you are in your career. This is another important part about coaching. Everybody has a coach. I have a coach. I'm a CISO and I have a coach, right? My coach has a coach. Everybody has a coach. I have 2 golf coaches, right? Sometimes you can have 2, right? I know, KP, you mentioned having a cyber mentor. We can kind of get into the distinction of mentor versus coach if people are interested in that conversation. But I think if you have a concern about the direction you're at, you need to have a coach. And here's the biggest difference. I'll leave it at the high level about this. A mentor pontificates. Generally speaking, points you into a direction and says, it's like Plato, right? Very philosophical. I think a coach holds you accountable. A coach holds you accountable. When I go see my golf coach, I go see my golf coach on Saturday, as a matter of fact, and I know he's going to want to see the results of what we worked on the last time we were together. And he's going to judge me, and I know this going into Saturday. He is going to judge me based on whether I worked on the stuff that he told me to work on or not. And he's going to critique me. And that may seem daunting, but it's that level of accountability that causes me to take his advice back and grind until I can show my coach that I did listen to him, right? And I think that's the difference of a coach is a coach can hold you accountable and can push you and tell you the truths that you may not necessarily want to hear. There was one that I saw that was kind of related to that. Oh, I can't find that one now. Oh, well. There was this one. I thought this was pretty good, right? I think rather than talking about pathways, it's more useful to talk about personality traits and habits that enable successful people to move their careers forward. So hack the planet. I'm gonna answer that, but I'm gonna answer it cynically first for comedic value. But I have to tell people that because I don't want people to think I'm overly serious about that. If I talked about personality traits, nobody would ever listen to me. You know why? Because all they ever want to hear is which cert they have to take, which skill they have to be, keen on, whose course do they have to take, what degree do they have to take, do they have to learn programming, what programming language. That's what people want to hear. People don't want to hear the esoteric type of stuff, which is super weird. I find that. I do fundamentally, as I've been doing this streaming stuff over the last 4 years, right? I have definitely found that I'll get, and listen, I do find this with the early entry folks, right? They'll come to me and they'll say, Neil, how do I get into cybersecurity? And I'll say networking. And they will go, this guy's full of crap. I'm out of here. They'll absolutely do that. 100%. And so you're absolutely right. We should absolutely be talking about personality types instead of pathways. But back to cyber insecurity, right? What happens is their own insecurity means that as we talk about personality traits, they realize that they may not necessarily have the right personality trait. They may be exhibiting the wrong personality traits, right? They may find that they have some things inside them that they're really worried about, right? It almost becomes a degree in psychology to educate people on personality traits. So I agree with you is the bottom line. I do think you're right. I do think it's personality traits. Let's talk about personality traits since it was brought up. What are personality traits, right, that you should have? Now, this is not all encompassing. I think that's another thing I've had to learn to preface as I do these streams is I have to say to people, this is not the list in its entirety because they somehow seem to think that if I mention one, then there's only one there. Thank you for keeping me hydrated as I talk. I've been criticized. Can we see where do I, if I do this? You see this hustle poster right here? Over the course of the last 4 years that I've been streaming, I've had people, this hustle poster has been with me for quite a while. And people are like, oh, I hate that hustle culture. And I do think that social media has really devalued what it means to hustle. I'm not talking about like that fake, social media, oh, I get up at 4 a.m. and have 7 eggs and 4 pounds of bacon and 2 ham hocks before I go to the gym and work out for 4 hours. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is your ability to get up and go after it. Right? Not your ability to get up and then sit on the couch for an hour and scroll social media. Right? Or to put on a movie at night, every night, right? and Netflix and chill every night. Right? I'm talking about if you have a goal in your head to go after that goal. And let me give you an example. I was talking with, I was doing a podcast interview yesterday. You'll pay attention to socials. Make sure you're on all my social media platforms. When this podcast goes live, I'll drop it there for sure, right? Make sure you pay attention to that. But I was doing a podcast yesterday with a team, and we were talking about big goals. And the current big goal that I have really is about, making it to the PGA Tour. The reasons why are different. I want to package those reasons why up in a box. We could talk about those reasons. But what I want you to understand is that that is my current big goal, right? Is to make it to the PGA Tour. I can't just wish great golf would fall down from the heavens and land on me for me to absorb, and then I magically go out and shoot a 68. Right? I have to work to get to that goal. And so what does that work look like for me? I want you to understand something, that as I outline this roadmap, I'm going to outline it for golf, but this could be the exact same roadmap that you use in your cyber career. But I'm outlining it for you because I recently went through this. There's the guy who was in here earlier was like, oh, all my experience is irrelevant because I've been in this industry for God knows how long. That's fine. I'll accept that. So here, let me give you a piece of relevant experience where I just recently tried to go after a big goal myself, something that was completely outside the realm of possibility for me. Something that I've never trained for in my entire life, something I've never done in my entire life. Remember, I haven't played professional golf. I haven't played competitive golf until April of last year, and I probably could count on two hands how many times I played golf before then, right? And so I learned everything I needed to about how to train. What does training look like? What's the right training regimen? What do I need? What are the fundamental mechanics of golf? I did all of this. Yeah, thank you, Hector. You're beating me to the punchline of the story. I learned the basics before I ever saw my first coach. I took that initiative upon myself to educate myself on what is a swing, what is a swing plane, what is the face path, how do I move my body, what are the physics that accompany a swing, where does power come from, right? What are the differences in the clubs, the lofts, the lies, all this other stuff I never knew ever in my entire life. Well, I just went out and learned it before I ever paid a coach to do so. And then I saw a coach. And then that coach gave me lessons. And then that coach gave me things to do. And so I went out and I did them. And then I put myself out there in tournaments. Do you know how embarrassed I was the first several tournaments I ever competed in? I felt like a kid being tasked, a kid with crayons trying to be tasked to draw a Picasso. Right? But I put myself out there with my own insecurities because I knew that I needed to be out there to be successful. Right? And then I kept grinding. And then I kept hustling. I kept after it. I practiced every day. I worked on my craft every day. I took days off. I'm not going to say, don't mistake that for, oh, Neil, that's how you burn out. That's how you don't take time for yourself. No, I took time for myself. I took weeks off, at one point in time. I took one whole week off, no golf, nothing whatsoever, just to get myself together. I took days off during the week, things like that. So it's not about like this 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 mentality that social media tries to teach you that it is. My point is, if you want it, that hustle, that desire to go after your goal every day, that is a personality trait that I think people forget that they need to have to achieve a goal. And I think this kind of gets back to, like, some of you want me to hand you a piece of paper with a roadmap on it. Okay, why aren't you out there building your own roadmap? Why aren't you out there learning about it every day so that you can figure out and make your own pathway in life? And I think that is a key personality trait that, regardless of where you are in your cyber career, I think is incredibly important. Right? I do also think, I saw somebody put it up in chat, integrity is important. And what does integrity mean? It means doing what you're supposed to do when no one is looking. Integrity is doing what you're supposed to be doing when no one is working. See point number 1 about grinding. Some of you only want to be seen when you're doing awesome stuff. There's a saying that I keep very, very close to my heart. Listen carefully. This is a clippable moment if any of my clip team is paying attention, right? This is a saying that I think is really, really important. Championships aren't won in the arena. Championships are won in the thousands of hours in the training labs, in the gym, on the practice field. That's when championships are won. And you can easily equate that to jobs. You can easily equate that to being successful in your career. You're not, like it comes down to what you're willing to do when no one else is paying attention to you. That's what winning is. So I'll give you those two. Go after your craft every day, whatever that looks like, and have integrity in doing so. Thank you all for the support in chat as I go through those rants and those soapboxes. It really does mean a lot to me. And like I said, I don't think that any of this is stuff that nobody on this stream isn't capable of doing. I do think luck, like, I don't know if this is said in cynicism or not, but I do want to kind of like, you know, I want to highlight it just in case it was serious, right? You do need a lot of luck. Like I almost got canceled for mentioning luck one time. Crazy. I can't believe that. I called somebody lucky and I almost got canceled for it. I've had Matt Eberhart, my CEO, on this stream, and I brought this up with him because we've talked about it before, and I do fully believe in it. He had a slight nuance that I am still debating on whether I'm going to add to my repertoire or not, but I do believe that part of success is when luck meets opportunity. I do think success is when luck meets opportunity. I may very well have tried my hardest in the military to give myself as much opportunity as possible. I took, when they, listen, I don't know, for my military folks, this may not surprise you. For my non-military folks, this may shock you if you're considering going to the military. Think about this. Just because you have a job in the military doesn't mean that you do that job the entirety of the time you're in the military, right? My AFSC, my Air Force Specialty Code, was Network Warfare Operator, which absolutely meant that I did network warfare. But there was a year stint there when I was going from Ramstein to Florida, where I landed in Florida and I was supposed to go to the special ops unit at the base in Florida, and instead of going to the special ops unit in the base in Florida, they were like, "Oh, you're a non-commissioned officer, basically a manager. We need you to lead the basically the warehouse that receives all of the IT equipment for the base. So all the switches, the routers, the servers, the receiving facility that receives all the IT equipment and then disposes of all the IT equipment, sends it to DRMO, for salvage and stuff like that. So for a year there, I literally had to do what was equivalent of IT janitorial work when I transitioned from Germany to Air Force. This is cyber secrets. I don't know that I've ever told this story live to anybody else, right? So, you know, this may very well be cyber secrets. So for a year there, I was unloading 18-wheelers with IT equipment, logging that stuff into inventory, scheduling appointments, interacting with people when they would come and pick up their IT equipment, right? But you know what I did? You know what I did? I didn't. This is the garbage jobs conversation all over again, right? I didn't complain about it. I didn't bitch to my, my chief master sergeant about it. I didn't threaten to quit the Air Force. I didn't do any of that. You know what I did? I just sucked it up. I just sucked it up, and I took the opportunity for what it gave me. You know what it gave me? The amount of senior leaders that I talked to on a day-to-day basis was amazing. I talked to more chief master sergeants, which is the highest rank you can have in the Air Force. I talked to more chief master sergeants doing that role than I ever had in the 6 years of my career before. 5 years of my career before. I proved that I could manage the IT of an entire base as an E5, as a middle manager, effectively. I could manage the IT of the entire base at that level. After that year stretch, you get you get the email from the senior enlisted person of the squadron. It's like, hey, Neil, good news. We've got a new staff sergeant that's going to come in. He's going to take over your role at the warehouse. You're going to go back to your unit. Internally, like, I was relieved. I was happy. Yes, finally, I get to go back and do my real job in the Air Force and not this. So I went back to the unit, did the real job. A couple weeks later, I got an email from my chief master sergeant in the unit requesting me to come to the office. And so, like, there's this, if you've ever gotten called to the office, there's this small sink in your stomach where you're like, oh God, what did I do now? I don't remember punching anybody. I don't remember cussing anybody out. I remember disobeying an order. Oh boy, all right, let's go see what's going on here. So I go to the chief master sergeant's office, and he says, Neil, I want to thank you. Now, that is a rarity to get that type of summons at that senior level of enlisted, to get a personal thank you from a chief master sergeant. He said, you not only went over to the warehouse and spent a year in the warehouse, you transformed it, you embraced it, you never complained once about it, and we received more accolades of the work that you've done there than that posting has ever had since he had been chief master sergeant. And he said to me, he said, you name it, and if it's in my power, you can have it. And I had been eyeballing that entire year. I've been eyeballing the 39th IOS, which was one of the premier information warfare squadrons on the special ops base. Completely different. And this was at the onset of them creating 22nd Air Force, which ultimately led to U.S. Cyber Command. And I knew that this was coming, and I wanted to be part of U.S. Cyber Command. And I said, I want to go to the 39th IOS. And he was like, but that's usually reserved for this other AFSC. You're a 2E. You're this type of role. That's usually reserved for that role. I said, you asked me what I wanted. I have the skills and the capabilities to excel over here. This is where I want to go. And he did it. And I went over there, and I was number 1 of 225 to build U.S. Cyber Command for the United States Air Force. Luck met opportunity. My championship wasn't won in the arena. It was won in the thousands of hours in the training lab, building my network, building my connections, preparing myself for the future version of myself that I knew I was eventually going to be ready for. So there is a bit of luck to it, but you can make your own luck. by being prepared. So there's that. This is a good one. How would you choose a coach if you're early in your career? I'll use my golf story as an example, right? I interviewed a lot of coaches. I still, to this day, interview a lot of coaches. I call coaches frequently, and I ask them the things that, that they're looking for, right? Like, hey, what's your experience? So obviously I'm trying to make it to the PGA. I ask them, what's your PGA experience? Are you a PGA professional? How many PGA professionals have you coached? Have you coached anybody who's currently on tour? Have you coached anybody? And then they ultimately went to be on tour, right? I ask them if they've got experience coaching people in the same success criteria that I myself want to move myself in that direction of, right? And so, like, I think you absolutely should be out there trying to find a coach. Listen, book time with me, right? We'll figure out if it's the right coach or not. But at a minimum, you'll at least get the experience of figuring out what it's like to interview a coach and be able to make your way out there. Hard question. How would a convicted felon pursuing cybersecurity and find a place in the field? I'm finishing a degree and have my Sec Plus, Pen Certs. Any suggestions? We have actually had, God rest his soul, Deb Zen, former member of this community, and I say former, because he passed about a year ago due to just life being life. For those who remember, very active member of this community. He was a convicted felon for drugs, and he got a role in cybersecurity. It was not easy for him. And there are some people in this community who are really close to him who can kind of help you understand some of the ways that he navigated that. But he put himself out there to show that he was better than what his record made it look like he had done, right? And so it absolutely is possible. What I will say is that you're going to struggle in regulated industries. That's probably the thing that doesn't matter how much you put yourself out there, how much you've reformed. Things like PCI DSS, things like NYDFS in the fin sector, things like certain clearances in NERC, right? Things like that. They have hard rules that say that you can't hire certain types of convicted felons. That's not against you. That's what I want you to understand that. Like, it's not a referendum on you. Those are regulatory things that they just simply can't budge on. There's no exception for that. But there are plenty of other companies that operate in non-regulated spaces that would absolutely hire the right talent regardless of your history. Happy to help you. This entire community would love to help you. We've got experience in this before. If you're listening, Gary, we appreciate your influence on. Anyway. Of your favorite tattoos, what's your fave? Probably this one. This is the one that Carmen and I got together. So Carmen's got a matching one. That's a queen of spades. So definitely that one. Sorry about that. Are you open to being sent resumes so that you get to refer the ones that are impressive to you? You have a wide network. I do have a wide network. I have a stealth business that I've been keeping kind of like quiet for a while. Mostly because it's, it's a challenging business to be in the current economy. but I am helping place talent into places. If you're interested in being part of that program, I would encourage you to reach out to me on DMs. Unfortunately, if I opened it up to where I said, yeah, send me your resume and I'll absolutely try to place you, my inbox would be absolutely DDoSed with resumes and I would basically turn into a recruiter. And so I'm doing it on a more case by case basis, if you will. You know, as you can tell, like I take a very high degree of pride in the work that I do, and I don't want to commoditize something and make everybody that I help feel like just another person, right? And so in order to keep that kind of white glove, personal touch approach to it, I'm limiting the amount of people that I can bring into this program to help, so that I can truly provide very specific, tailored, specialized services to people, and help them get placed into roles. If you believe that you would like to be considered for that, I encourage you to reach out to me, and we'll do an interview and we'll talk, and we'll, and it's not about experience. I'm not looking for you to have 20 years of experience or things like that. I've done entry-level folks and I've done experienced folks. I've placed a very, very senior leader in a deputy CISO role. If I mentioned their name, you would instantly be like, wow, really? But yeah, I mean, it's somebody that you would know if I were to mention their name. So it's a very, the answer is yes, kind of. Reach out to me and let's set up an appointment to chat. And if it looks like something that I can do successfully, we can work something out. This is a hard question to answer right here, right? What's a reasonable salary for an OSCP dude with 6 months of experience in the US? $85,000. Like if you're just going to ask me like a random question, I have no other context for that question. How many years of experience that you've got? Where have you worked? Where else have you worked? Where do you live? I'm going to assume that if you're asking for an entry-level role for one guy with, an OSCP, cert, and no other, 6 months of experience in the US, 85,000. There you go. Boom. Easy peasy. Brandon, hanging out in chat. Good to see you again, Brandon. Let's see what else we got here. Man, there's a lot. Oh, these are the ones from the other day. I do appreciate everybody I just saw these from last week. The queue still has questions from last week. I appreciate everybody who's been tuning into the Thursday SecData Ops streams that we got going on. That's still in experiment mode. I welcome your feedback. Right? As you've tuned into those SecData Ops, you'll notice that there's a different dynamic, there's a different format, there's a different content that we're talking about. Please, 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 please give us feedback on that format, the content, the dynamic, things like that. Let us know if it's if you've been part of this for the community for 4 years, you'll know that we randomly try out new series, new formats, new topics of conversation. Brandon, who you see in Twitch chat, he's had a series that has run with us for a while. Jack had, Tipsy Cyber that ran with us for a while, right? So we run series very, very frequently. And we've got it, for those who didn't know, we have a 6-week free Python class over on YouTube. Like if you didn't know that, you should go over to YouTube. You can take 6 weeks of Python from a Python instructor who did a live Python question or live Python teaching session. I think it was like every Tuesday or something like that for 6 weeks straight, right? So we constantly try out new programming ideas. Go to Discord, and in the community feedback tab, you can drop your opinions there, or you can feel free to message me in DMs, but I absolutely love the feedback for all of that. I just saw this one, and I saw Soapbox, so I had to push it, right? I know the cyber conferences are kind of a soapbox, but this year I'll be at Black Hat. Can I meet the amazing Neil there this year? Maybe. Maybe. Listen, cyber conferences are a soapbox, but last week I was in Philly for Reinforce, right? I say that to say, like, I go to conferences when I need to, right? When there's people to meet, when there's things to be discussed, when we're trying to make changes as an industry, when there's an opportunity to drive a lot of value, then yes, I'll be at conferences. I would say, pay attention to socials. Make sure you've got those notifications turned on social, so that when I do drop that message, it's like, hey, I'm going to be here, here, and there, at this point in time, like you're there and you're like, grab those slots super fast, because like it'll come at you fast. And at the same time, you've got to be like, hey, Neil, I see you're in X. Can I get some time with you? Right? And so absolutely find time with me if I'm anywhere. And let's just say this, right? Like when we talk about coaching, right? When we talk about coaching, you want free coaching? Hit me up when I'm in your city. I will, people who have gone to visit in their cities, sit down with me for an hour. We'll grab a drink. You can have whatever you want. I'll pay for it. I'll have a water or Diet Coke, right? Whatever. I've been sober for 2 years. Thank you, very little cancer. Hey, can somebody grab the Python playlist for Twitch and YouTube, please? Thank you. So free coaching, if you catch me in any of your cities, that includes Black Hat or DEF CON when I'm out Vegas. My time at Vegas absolutely consists of 99% meeting people, right? So if you see me at Black Hat or Vegas in general, I probably won't be on the floor more than like 10 or 15 minutes at a time. The rest of the time I'll be out chatting with people, networking, things like that, right? So you absolutely can. If you want 4 hours of free coaching, book a tea time with me. I've got 2 people here in the Raleigh area who frequently book tea times with me. They suck at golf. I don't care. I just enjoy hanging out with them. And for 4 hours, they get my undivided attention out on the golf course for free coaching. Absolutely. You want 4 hours of free coaching? Hit me up on the golf course. Take me golfing. Can I get one of the mods to find the Python video, but also find the link to the networking video? I know it's in Twitch. I think it's this video, right? In Twitch. It's this one, right? There we go. There's the videos on LinkedIn. Kaspersky is looking like it's going to get banned in the US. This is weird. I saw this happen, but here's what's weird. Like, Kaspersky's not new. I remember being at the agency. I remember being at the NSA, and we frequently had conversations like, why are we still allowing Kaspersky to operate in the US so prevalently, mind you. And this was a while ago. This was obviously a really long time ago. And so this, to me, the shocking part about this was that it's happened so late relative to how long I've been in cyber, right? Because I could remember in 2008, 2009, 2010, being like, why are we allowing Kaspersky to operate in the US? Especially since we were actively in Russian networks, like conducting operations, right? And so I wonder, again, I'll remind everybody as I say this, that we keep politics clearly out of chat. 1000%. There is no politics in chat. So I'm taking this strictly from a cybersecurity perspective. Either something has drastically changed with the motives and ethics of Eugene Kaspersky to where he can no longer be trusted as a business owner and operator to have operations in the US, or there is something else going on the back end. And again, this is not a political channel. We don't get into politics in chat, but for decades, multiple decades, there has never been a question of Eugene Kaspersky's neutral stance in running his antivirus company. For that to change, I do wonder what the intel is that has caused that stance to change, or if there is some other reason. Right? So I don't have anything else to add to it other than that. When I put on my risk hat as a CISO, right? I think you have to risk manage yourself. Should you trust Eugene Kaspersky and Kaspersky Labs to have antivirus on your computer? That's up to your risk profile. Are you fond of one way or the other? That's on you. Like, I think that's a completely fair question for you to ask yourself. I don't think that there's a right or a wrong way to it. Listen, do I think that Kaspersky is selling your data to CCP or to North Korea based on their new alliance? Maybe. Do you think that Facebook and Instagram and Twitch and YouTube and Google and LinkedIn and Microsoft, do you think they're not? Like, I mean, let's be real. Like, I do think this gets back into some of that slightly like naivety that I think sometimes cybersecurity professionals have, where they're like, oh, screw TikTok because it's Chinese, right? Or screw Kaspersky because it's Russian. And I'm like, have you guys seen these companies called Facebook and Instagram and Microsoft and Twitch and Google around lately? Like, I don't know if you're aware of those companies or not. Especially Twitch. That company's real shady. Beep. TOS from Twitch. Right? They all do it, right? Like, I mean, you've all heard the saying, like, if you're not paying for anything, then you are the product. And they've got to sell it to somebody, right? Just like any other product, you've got a price. And so, like, I think that the chances are as likely that Kaspersky was selling access as they are that anybody else is selling access to your data. If you are naive to that, I'm sorry to have broken your heart. I love this one. I think this is the second question I saw about my health. My health is good. I have treatment on Friday, next Friday. Ooh, for a second there, I was like, oh my God, is today a treatment day? No, that's next week. So next week will be a stream Monday, a stream Thursday for Sec Data Ops, and then no stream on Friday because I'll be in treatment on Friday. We're coming up on 2 years. I think I mentioned this. Hey, there's BSEC from the left coast. The coast that's backwards in time. We're coming up on 2 years. September 1st will be 2 years since I've been diagnosed with cancer. I should have been dead 12 months ago. But I'm not, because I ain't ready yet. Hopefully, we're going to get to do a biopsy in September. Waiting on the doctor to get approval from the insurance company to do a biopsy. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed for that. But I'm alive. I'm well. I'm awesome. I'm playing the ball where it lies. Let's keep kicking ass. Let's keep kicking ass. Thoughts on the INE retired CPTX course? Is that content still relevant? I have no opinion on INE related content. David C says, I'm currently working as an IT technical support engineer, and I'm looking to eventually become a security engineer or similar role. What's some general advice you would give? If you're in a company where you have security engineers, go make friends with those security engineers and learn what it is that they do. BSEC, they got a biopsy. They got a biopsy to prove. Well, so, I mean, it's a valid question, BSEC. It's a valid question, but there's slightly more nuance to that. The scan is still picking up a mass in my abdomen, but they can't tell if it's alive or not, as weird as that sounds. Believe it or not, the limitation of imaging software. They can see that there is a mass, but it shows no organic life signs is the best way to put it. So they have to do a biopsy to determine if it's alive or not. And that's kind of the stage that we're at, is like, everything looks good, which I keep the fingers crossed, everything looks good. We need the biopsy. We need that MFR to be looked at under a microscope so we can see if it's truly dead or not. That's what we need. That way we can all high five each other and talk about what a wild, crazy 2 years it's been. I want to build a honeypot inside a honeypot inside a honeypot, or a honeypot that looks like... if you listen, on a serious note, Teapot, if one of my mods can find a link for Teapot, T-Mobile released this. Teapot is literally the training wheels of honeypots. We did it on stream. We ran a honeypot. We ran the Teapot honeypot in a distributed fashion, bringing it back into an Elastic instance that I maintain separately to basically do threat hunting and whatnot around it for, God, I think it was like 6 months, guys, that we ran that honeypot. And we talked about that. Built it all on stream. And, you know, it's a great project. Like, if you're looking to build a honeypot, and we're talking low cost, like I think it cost me $25. Yeah, it was a Pew Pew map, BSEC. I think it cost me $25 a month to run a Teapot server. Now, it was very lightweight, the server that I had it in, and it crashed pretty frequently, but it was enough to get the gist, get the idea, you know, kind of see what data you could get into. So absolutely, like, this is like, I know you said this cynically, as I read through it looks like you said it cynically, but seriously, if you're looking for a great project and you want to see how honeypots operate, and you want to look at a lot of different pieces of honeypot technology, find Teapot on GitHub. Right? You should be able to go to Google and search T-Pot GitHub, right? Teapot, honeypot, something like that, GitHub, and you should be able to find it. That is your best bet for a low-cost, low-key, easy-to-run honeypot that will let you see all sorts of cool stuff that exists out there. 10 of 10 recommends that project. Jake says, if you had the ability to go back in the past, what would you tell yourself? I struggle with this a lot. And I'll tell you why. Philosophically. Don't most of you worry that if you told your younger self something different, that it would change who you are today? Maybe you don't like who you are today, and that's completely and totally valid, Callie. I like who I am today. Did I have some rough spots? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely had some rough spots. I've got some skeletons in the closet that are not fit for stream that I would absolutely love to tell myself not to do. But then I do wonder, if I didn't have the learnings from those, would I be the person that I'm sitting in front of you all today being? So what I'd rather do is rather take those learnings and imprint them upon you so that you can be better than me. Most of you are. Like, I make no qualms at all that some of you are better than me. Some of you will be better than me if you're not already. Right? That's how I know that everything I screwed up, if I can pass it to you and you take it and you be better than me, I wouldn't tell myself a single thing. I know that's a scapegoat answer, so let me give you a different answer. If I could be guaranteed that I'd be in exactly the same position, if not better, regardless of what I told myself in my youth, the advice that I would give to my younger self: lean into my strengths. Here's another cyber secret. I don't know that I've ever told this. Like, you guys get 2 in 1 stream. I don't know that we've ever had a cyber secrets like that before. My first year in the Air Force, I spent trying to get out of cyber. Check that out. I'd been doing cyber before the Air Force, came into the Air Force, got stationed at an Army military intelligence base in South Korea, Camp Humphreys, for those who have been in that region. And I spent the entire year trying to transition out of cyber to be an Army helicopter pilot. Because I thought computers were boring and all the cool people were pilots or athletes or things like that, and I wanted to be part of the cool club. This was long before cyber was cool. And I would go back and I'd tell myself to lean into my strengths. I was kicking ass when I came into the military doing cyber work. I was one of the best that they had. And I wish I'd doubled down and leaned into my strengths more. I wish I had stayed physically active through high school and through the military. I can tell you it's been weird going through this golf journey. I have a chiropractor and I have a physical therapist. No, it hurt. Like, I'm sitting in a chair now. I will get up at the end of this stream and it will hurt. That is opposite of what it used to be for me. It used to be that I'd sit here for hours and then I'd go up and I'd go to the gym and I would hurt. But now that I have a chiropractor and a physical therapist and I'm in the gym every day and I'm playing golf every day, right? It hurts me to not be physically active, but I feel absolutely better now that I'm physically active. And I wish that I'd never lost that about myself. So there'd be 2 that I would definitely say. Do not overlook your physical and mental health. As a cancer patient, I think I don't want to take anything away from the successes of modern medicine by any stretch of the imagination, because I'm very, very grateful that immunotherapy has helped me along this journey. I'll tell you this. When I got diagnosed and the doctor said, you got to stop drinking, I thought he was just being a doctor, right? Doctors tell you things like that. You got to stop drinking. You're like, whatever, you're a doctor. Of course you're going to say that. I was like, hey, you should get out and exercise more. Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate that. But what started out as stopping drinking turned into researching more about foods, researching more about exercise, understanding more about how my body works, which led to going to the gym with a specific regimen in mind, focused on golf, eating like an athlete because I want to be an athlete, realizing that while immunotherapy is probably the number one reason why I'm still alive and I'm going to live through this cancer, changing my diet was probably an accelerator for it. And I say that because I have a friend. I'm going to try not to get choked up on this one. I have a very, very good friend. He was my best friend in the military. He's been my best friend getting out. I don't know if he's watching the stream or not. But for the last 4 years, he has been battling severe alcoholism. And 4 years ago, he went in the hospital and got told that he had liver cancer and his liver had failed him and he was going to need to be on a transplant list, and that if he kept drinking alcohol, he was going to die. And what has he done? He's done literally the exact opposite of me. He continues to drink, continues to eat like shit, never exercises, and has all the vices and bad habits that he had before, even after the doctor told him he was going to die. And I'm watching him die over the last 4 years right in front of my eyes. And I can literally look at my response to that message and his response to that message. Please take care of your health, both mental and physical. Nothing in this life is more important than your own physical and mental health. Don't wait to get told you got cancer before you change something. I'm trying to find a not sad thing to see. This is why I hate talking about my past too, right? Best way to build connections. I started up a teaching community with the help of IT and cybersecurity, and we have an offshoot group that finds online predators and missing people. I want to grow, but I'm just not sure how. Honestly, you started it. Just keep growing that. Find other groups that you can be part of out there. I'd say be careful with an offshoot group that finds online predators and missing people. Make sure that it's a legitimate group that's got backing of legal and law enforcement so you don't get into any trouble. But fundamentally, I like that idea, and I think that that's an awesome initiative. Oh man, what would be some advice for someone who wants to build a cyber startup in 1 to 2 years? Burnout is real. Burnout is real. Absolutely get a hobby. I can't second what Maz says. Listen, if your company is making you take work home with you, God, I wanted to do that one later. If your company is making you take work home with you, that is the wrong company. Right? You have to have, God, what was there? Somebody, it was a stream a couple weeks ago, I think it was, where it was like, real quick on this one. Hey, there are legitimate groups that do this, right? And I would start with Trace Labs. This is not an advocate for cyber vigilantism. Please do not participate or conduct cyber vigilantism. We don't condone it on this stream. We don't condone it as a community. Having spent years in the military, I've done tons of CI work with law enforcement, with the FBI in particular. You will absolutely mess up active investigations. You will absolutely put a target on your back if you try to do this on your own. Please, 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 please. I applaud the efforts. I want you to do awesome stuff. Do it with a legitimate group. Start with Trace Labs, but do not do it on your own, please. I would ask yourself, why do you want to build a startup? right? Sometimes people say, oh, I want to build a startup because I see some TikTok where people talk about having personal freedom and doing whatever I want and sitting on the beach in Bali while, passive money runs in. If your idea of being an entrepreneur is that you're just going to like LLC a company and instantly have 50,000 people that are going to pay for you to do a pen test, you're being spoon-fed garbage from the internet, and it is a lie. If you think it's hard work getting into cybersecurity now, start your own company. You will have an even harder time finding clients, keeping clients, building revenue, and doing the job. Right? It's not as easy as the internet will make it out to be, number one. Number two, what problem are you solving? Ask yourself that. Drop it in chat. If you think you have an idea, drop in chat what problem you think you're going to solve. I give huge credit to Mike Bousquet if he's watching, Matt Eberhard, who are, the CEO and the CPO at Query. They taught me that is probably the most important question that you should be asking yourself as a business owner, as a product company, as somebody who's trying to make your way out there. What problem are you solving? Saying, well, people need pen tests, I'm going to go give them pen tests. You're not solving a problem. You know how many pen testing companies there are that are out there? Right? You know how many pen testing companies exist? Pen tests have become commoditized. Oh God, I've upset the nihilist. Like it or not, pen tests have become commoditized. I knew it was going to happen. I called it years ago. I think I wrote a paper on it. If you can find it, it's called Red Teaming Redux. Wrote a paper on how pen tests were going to become commoditized. And it's happening. Right? You're not solving a problem by saying that you're going to go create a pen testing company. You're not solving a problem. And so my number one piece of advice to you is really sit down and ask yourself, what problem are you solving? Then you need to go test that problem. Right? You need to go talk to other business owners. You need to go talk to potential customers. You need to go talk to tons of people to really, at the core of it, figure out if somebody is willing to pay you money to solve said problem. And if they're not willing to pay you money to solve said problem, maybe you're not really solving a problem that people are willing to pay you money for, and that'll help guide you as to whether this is a company you should start or not. All right. So that would be my advice to that. I'm stuck in a rock and hard place. Recently graduated with a BS in cybersecurity. My goal is to work for a federal agency in the same field. I am always eager to learn, so I'm wondering if it's better for me to go get new certs, get a master's in cyber analytics, or just get a job for experience. Currently in IT as a program manager, but not writing programs, managing them. I mean, it's really hard to tell what it is that you're trying to shoot for in this. Your goal is to work for a federal agency in the same field. Have you even tried to apply for a job in the federal government to determine if you currently have what is needed or if you're going to get shot down? Like, again, this is about putting yourself out there, right? Are you just reading a job description and being like, oh, I don't meet this checkbox, so therefore I'm not going to apply? And the reason I say that is because oftentimes that mentality right there is what people take. And then next thing you know, they've disqualified themselves, right? When you say to yourself, oh, I'm not going to apply for this job because they want a CISSP, you haven't even given the company a chance to shut you down. Think about that for a second. You have not even given the company a chance to shut you down. And so please don't disqualify yourself before you even get a chance to. Right? So A, put yourself out there. There is no better, right? I hate when people say, like, I'm wondering if it's better for me to do this than this, this than that, or this than this. Back to what I said at the beginning of the stream. Don't look at your choices as binary. I'll credit Matt to this one as well. I'm gonna send all these clips to my boss and be like, I talked about you a lot on my stream today. He taught me 2 new words that I weren't using enough in my conversations. Yes, and. Yes, and. It's not binary. It's not should you do this or this. It's a yes and. Right? I mean, should you should you go for a new cert? Yeah. And should you get a master's in analytics? Sure, why not? Get more job experience? Yes. Like what are all those, like, there's not a negative of those things you asked to do. Right? Like, don't look at the choice as a very binary choice. Like, there may be an order of operations. There may be one that's more important than the other right now. But if you love the process of learning, and if it makes you happy, then that should be a yes and to all of those things. You should be moving in that direction. Golf skill requirement to play with you on course. Like if I'm hitting like 8 on every single hole, is that okay? Absolutely. Listen, I love to play golf, period. And I love to hang out with people on the golf course. So I don't care if you shoot 8, I don't care if you shoot 10. Like, listen, I've played with BSEC, and BSEC has to take drops where I shoot on the golf course because he sucks that bad, right? So you can't be any worse than BSEC, right? Don't worry about how you shoot. Let's go out. Let's have some fun. You sit in the golf cart with me. I've got one guy who doesn't actually play golf. He just drives me around on the golf course while I do a practice round and asks me questions the entire time. Right? So don't even feel compelled to play golf if you don't really want to. Just go out there on the golf course. We'll have a good time. I'll hit the golf ball around. I would love, like, there is definitely part of me, like, here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I'll tell you. The next person who books a golf trip with me will stream it. And we'll do a live Q&A on the golf course for everybody to see. Hands down, we'll do it. We'll make it work. I've got wireless mics. We'll get the camera ready, and we will stream a cybersecurity coaching session from the golf course. That is a promise made. Unless it's BSEC, and then I just don't want to whoop his ass in front of all of you. That's just like, that's really embarrassing for him. All right. Here's one about AI. I do love the AI questions. If I was wanting to move to AI security, what resources would you suggest for learning? I've said this before. Anybody out there on Udemy selling an AI cybersecurity course is stealing your money. I sat in a room with some of the smartest people in AI last week, and most of the good AI stuff they are currently keeping locked behind company secrets because they don't know how to release it in an ethical fashion. That's how nuanced some of this stuff is in cybersecurity with AI. You're going to have to go out there and derive your own thesis on AI and cybersecurity. But if you've got the hustle, if you've got the grind, some of you who are looking to be specific experts in this field can make a name for yourself by doing that. And I would highly, highly encourage you to do so. Right? If you're looking for a challenge, go become an expert in something that you can't go find a YouTube video on or a course on Udemy or things like that. And AI is a great place to do so right now. But I will double down on the fact that any AI cybersecurity stuff that you see on Udemy right now is a freaking cash grab. 1,000%. Fight me on it. Since we're on the topic of AI, I completed a 6-month cybersecurity AI internship at a startup and have not been able to land another one for a while now. Do you reckon I apply for more general SDE backend or domains instead? Will that help? People talk about jobs, but internships have super high competition. Internships do have super high competition. Like if you've never been in the internship pipeline, internships have a crazy high competition rate, right? Kudos to you for putting up with that, right? Because it is a grind, right? I think I'm going to use the word mistake, but I don't mean that you messed up mistake. I think the detriment to what you said is that it was an internship at a startup. Imagine if you had done an internship at Google or an internship at Apple, right? And so when you're at that internship phase, sometimes people look at the location of the internship and make assumptions. Like it or not, we could debate whether that's right or wrong all day long, but we know it happens, right? And so they're looking at it and they're like, oh, if you did an internship at a startup, what did you actually learn? What did you actually walk away with? What did you actually do that could actually be valuable to the company? I would say try to elevate that pedigree on your resume or expand your network so that you can get more nuanced opportunities. I do not speak for Query on this, so don't think that I'm speaking for Query on this matter, but I will use Query as an example. We're a startup. Go to Crunchbase. Anybody right now can go to Crunchbase and search Series A startups on Crunchbase. Go find Series A startups on Crunchbase that are in the AI space. Put together a bio and a profile of yourself about all your projects that you've done in AI, what you've learned about AI, your one AI internship, and then start sending messages to the CEOs of these startups. I know Matt, and I'm not speaking for Query on this, but I don't doubt that if you were to send some of these CEOs messages, they wouldn't go back and say, could we use an intern? Right? And that's what I mean by thinking outside the box in terms of how you approach some of these problem sets, right? I get them all the time. Like I get DMs from people all the time. It's like, hey, Neil, here's my portfolio. Can you use a cybersecurity intern? Trust me, I have a collection of those that as soon as Matt gives me the thumbs up that we can start to expand out our capabilities, I'm going to be looking through that list and being like, all right, cool. Who's hungry and who can I bring on board? But that's what I would say is don't rely on the LinkedIns or your university programs or things like that to try to do your own internships. Put the onus upon yourself to build your portfolio and then go to Crunchbase, look for Series A companies that are, starting out in the AI space, and you pitch to them. You pitch yourself to them. BSEC, you don't need pancakes. You need to come off of the pancakes. It's a difference. I'm currently a pen tester with no past direct blue team role. I've built and managed firewalls, IAM, network servers, load balancers, etc. as an engineer. My goal is to transition to becoming a security engineer. I know the job role's responsibility is broad and will depend on the company, but what do you suggest I focus on learning or becoming more familiar, which will make the transition smoother? Incident response. Incident response. Go take some of the blue team content, I'm not gonna say courses or certs, but go take some of the blue team content that talks about how to respond to an incident. You have a ton of IT experience. That's great. 10 of 10 supports. what I think you need to do is I think you need to learn how that IT experience translates into seeing bad on the wire and then responding to bad on the wire. I think those are the two things that you might want to focus on to be successful in that arena. Here we go. I like this. I saw this one. I do want to ask them. What are your thoughts on upcoming gadgets used for malicious activity? Flipper Zero is an example, and easy to purchase and use of knowledge, but also for malicious activity. How would people combat these devices? Again, we do not have political commentary in chat. Right? We do not have political commentary in chat. But what I will say is this is the gun debate, right? Should people have access to tools where they themselves can decide how to use said tools for good or for bad? That's what you're asking. And I will always stand on the side. I will always stand on the side that we should make everybody have access to tools. It is incumbent upon you to decide whether it's for good or for bad. But Neil, if we make the tools available out there, then the bad guys can get them faster. No, if a 0-day hits the market today, you and the bad guys have the same amount of time to respond to it. What you're really complaining about is that the bad guy can do it faster than you. That's what you're really complaining about. And so I would ask yourself, why is the bad guy moving faster than you? Is it because you don't have enough cyber researchers building blue team defenses? Is it because your company sucks at patching? Is it because you don't have a good inventory, so you don't know where those devices are? Is it because you don't have good policies that tell your people not to click on emails? Like, it is the exact same starting point as the bad guy. What you're mad about is that you don't get an advantage. That's what you're really asking for, is you're really asking for the battlefield to be skewed to you instead of having it equal. What I would say, you need to do better. People, process, and technology. If you can't move your people faster, if you can't move your processes faster, or if your processes are getting in your way, or your people don't have the ability to respond that fast, that is the bigger problem, not the tool or the technology. It will die on that vine every day. TTP versus PPT. Meme it. Meme it, BSEC. TTPs, baby, versus PPTs. All right, that's a good question. I love that one. Listen, I really do. I do think that there's, like, I think that, like, listen, I would be scared for a world where we didn't know when new tools hit the space. All right, everybody. That's it for Friday's Tea with a Hacker. We're coming up on 10:30. I appreciate everybody's patience as we dealt with some very weird, crazy internet fluke first thing this morning. That was super weird, but hey, we made it through. Everybody stuck around. I do truly appreciate all the questions, appreciate all the commentary. Make sure you hit that exclamation point Discord. Anybody see the surprise that I had on socials? Anybody see that surprise that I had on Instagram? Right? If you didn't, hit that exclamation point socials. Head on over to Instagram. Take a look at that surprise. Make sure you're in our Discord, exclamation point Discord. Make sure you tune in Monday for cyber insecurity. I promise you, I won't forget this time. Make sure you tune in next Thursday for Sec Data Ops. I got a tournament this weekend. I appreciate everybody who sends me loves, hearts, congrats, praises, well wishes on Instagram ahead of my tournaments. I really do appreciate that. We're going to go out there. We're going to kick some ass on Sunday. That being said, whether you're on the blue team or the red team, we're still deciding. Stay awesome. Keep learning. We'll see you next time.
Every night I seen him, I won't back down, I'ma beat him. I'm starting to feel like I've been under pressure. I'm keeping my foot on their neck, I won't let up. I know when I fall down, I gotta just get up. I brush it all off, I'm better than ever. Been through a lot, but I'm never gonna settle. Know that I've been heating up like a kettle. Thinking back when I was studying dental, now I got plaques coming on the way, that's special. Yeah, they all come from my spot, but I never stop moving. Gotta do more when I feel like I'm losing. Putting in work, that's the only solution. You the only one who you really be fooling. Damn, trying to find peace inside my head. I've been talking to God, but I'm left on red. I ain't got time to be feeling upset, so I keep doing my best. I've been up fighting my demons, and they be trying to pull me in. Yeah.